Your Spanish is correct. That's the problem. You say, Estoy muy bien, gracias. And it's right. It's just that nobody says it. Native speakers hear that and they know instantly. This person learned Spanish from a book and has never had a conversation. 5 phrases. You're probably using at least 3 of them. And here's the part nobody tells you. Every replacement is shorter than what you're saying now. Let me give you one right now before we start. Somebody steps on your foot. You say, Lo siento, don't. Say, perdón. One word. That's it. And in the next 2 minutes, you'll find out why the longer one is actually the wrong one. So why is the shorter one right? Because in Spanish, apologies have weight, and you just use the heavy one on a foot. Here's the scale. Somebody's grandmother died. You say, Lo siento mucho. You arrive 20 minutes late to dinner. You say, oh, perdón, se me hizo tarde. You need to squeeze past someone on a bus. You say, Coke, permiso. You want a stranger's attention, to ask something, to interrupt. You say, disculpe. 4 situations, 4 different words. English uses sorry and excuse me for all 4. And your course taught you lo siento first, because it's the direct translation. It isn't. Lo siento is I feel it. Literally. You are telling somebody you feel their loss. Say that when someone steps on your foot and you sound like you're grieving over a shoe. Here's the rule, and it's the whole section. If nobody died and nobody got hurt, you don't need lo siento. You need perdón. One more thing before we move on. Perdón and disculpe are not the same. Perdón is for something you already did. Disculpe is for something you're about to do. You stepped on them. Perdón. You're about to interrupt them. Disculpe. That distinction doesn't exist in English, which is why nobody ever taught it to you. Now, number 2 is the one you're using every single day. And it's not in a museum or an emergency. It's in a cafe. You walk into a cafe. You want a coffee. Your course prepared you for this. You say, quisiera un café, por favor. Perfect Spanish. Conditional tense. Polite register. Textbook page 41. And the person behind the counter now knows exactly where you're from. Not because it's wrong. Because nobody orders coffee in the conditional tense. Quisiera is what you use in a restaurant with tablecloths, talking to a waiter who came to your table. At a counter, with 3 people waiting behind you. It's like walking up to a hot dog stand and saying, I should like to procure a Frankfurter. Here's what people actually say. Ready? It's shorter. Un café, por favor. That's it. That's the whole sentence. No verb. Name the thing, add por favor, done. If you want to sound a little warmer, add the person. Me da un café, por favor? Me da. Literally, do you give me? It sounds abrupt translated into English. In Spanish, it's completely normal and slightly friendlier than the bare version. And this changes by country, which is worth knowing because it's the fastest way to sound local. Me pone un café? Me regala un café? Me da un café? Any of the 3 works anywhere. Nobody will correct you. Now, there's one more version of this, and if you're using it, I need you to stop today. ¿Puedo tener un café? That one didn't come from a Spanish speaker. It came from an English textbook that translated "Can I have word by word?" I've seen it printed in American Spanish class materials. ¿Puedo tener una servilleta, por favor? Can I have a napkin, please? No native speaker says that. Tener is to possess. You're asking the barista whether you are permitted to be in possession of a coffee. Say the short one. Un café, por favor. 3 words, and nobody looks up. Number 3 is different. Number 3 isn't about ordering. It's about leaving. and it's the one that quietly tells people you're not coming back. You bought your coffee, you're leaving. You say the word every course teaches on day 1. Adios. And the woman behind the counter says it back and smiles. And something is slightly off and you'll never know what. Here's what's off. Adios has weight too. Not as much as lo siento, but it's there. Adios comes from a Dios, to God. I commend you to God. It's what you say when the distance matters. Someone's moving away, someone's getting on a plane, someone you won't see for a long time. Use it at a coffee counter you'll walk into again tomorrow, and it lands like a small farewell nobody asked for. What people actually say is shorter, and there are 2. Ciao. Borrowed from Italian ciao. Used across almost all of Latin America. Completely casual. Works with strangers and friends alike. Hasta luego. Literally, until later. It doesn't mean you have plans. It means the door stays open. This is the safe one. It works in every country and at every level of formality. And there's a third that isn't a goodbye at all, but it's what you'll hear most. Que estés bien. May you be well. People say it walking out of shops, ending phone calls, leaving the office. It's warm, it's short, and no course will ever teach it to you. So the rule, if you're coming back, and you almost always are, don't close the door. Ciao, hasta luego. Save adios for the airport. Number 4 is the one you reach for when you're already in trouble. Use it wrong and you're alone in about 4 seconds. Somebody just said something to you in Spanish. Fast. You caught maybe 2 words. This is the moment. This is the one that decides whether the conversation continues or dies. And your course gave you no comprendo. Correct. Grammatically perfect. And it does 2 things you don't want. First, comprender is the formal verb. It's what you use for concepts, for texts, for ideas. No comprendo la teoría. For a sentence you didn't catch, people use the other one. No entiendo. Same length, completely different register. Entender is the everyday verb. That's the whole difference. And your course picked the wrong one because comprender looks like comprehend and was easier to teach you. Second problem, and this one is bigger. No entiendo ends the conversation. Think about it. You said you don't understand. Full stop. Now the other person has to guess what to do. Repeat it? Say it slower? Give up? Most people give up, politely, and you lose the conversation. So here's what to say instead, and it's one word. Cómo. That's it. One word, rising tone. It means say that again, and it's what native speakers use with each other constantly. Nobody thinks you're a foreigner. They think you didn't hear. And if you want them to slow down, don't say you don't understand. Ask for what you need. Más despacio, por favor? 3 words. Notice what just happened. You didn't announce a problem. You gave an instruction. The conversation keeps going. That's the rule for this one. Don't report the failure. Ask for the fix. 1 left. And it's the phrase from the very beginning of this video, the one you've been using since your first week of Spanish. Somebody asks you, ¿Cómo estás? And you answer, the way you were taught in your very first lesson. Estoy muy bien, gracias. Correct. Complete sentence. Subject, verb, adverb, courtesy. Your teacher would be proud. And the conversation is now over. That's the problem with this one. And it's not the words, it's the shape. You answered. You closed it. You handed nothing back. A complete answer in Spanish reads as a full stop. Here's what people actually do. Bien, y tú. 3 words. Half the length. And the difference isn't politeness. It's that the ball is now back on their side of the net. That's the entire fix. Answer short, return the question. Every time. Now, if you want to stop sounding like a textbook completely, there's one more layer. Nobody is muy bien, ever. Listen to how people really answer. Bien. ¿Y tú? Ahí vamos. Todo bien, gracias a Dios. Más o menos. Ahí vamos. Literally, there we go. It means, still standing, nothing to report. It's the most honest answer in the language, and it's used everywhere. Más o menos, more or less. Not great. And this one matters, because estoy muy bien has no way to say not great. You were only ever given the happy answer. So pick any of them. But whichever you pick. ¿Y tú? Always. That's the one that keeps you in the conversation. 5 phrases. Now let me tell you what they have in common, because it's the only thing in this video you actually need to remember. Lo siento. Quisiera un café. Adiós. No comprendo. Estoy muy bien, gracias. 5 phrases. 5 different situations. 1 cause. Every single one of them is a good English sentence translated into correct Spanish. I'm sorry. I would like a coffee. Goodbye. I don't understand. I'm very well, thank you. Line them up and you can see it. You weren't speaking Spanish. You were speaking English with Spanish words in it. And the fix isn't more vocabulary. Look at what replaced them. Perdón. Un café, por favor. Chao. ¿Cómo? Bien. ¿Y tú? Shorter. All 5. Not one of them is a harder word than what you already knew. That's the thing nobody tells beginners. You don't sound like a book because your Spanish is too small. You sound like a book because you're translating, and translation is always longer. Native speakers aren't using better sentences than you. They're using fewer words than you. So the next time you're about to say something in Spanish and you catch yourself building it in English first, stop. Say less. Say the short one. You'll be wrong sometimes. You'll sound like yourself every time.